Sorry, Captains, red alert.
Captain on the bridge.
Alright, Captains, we are back on the bridge, and today, yes, let's go! We are excited to get into all things Star Trek Picard, so on screen. Yes, so Captains, before we get into this video, do us a favor, like it, also subscribe here to the YouTube Bridge. We mostly cover content from Star Trek Online, but for the last couple of years, we have been venturing into covering things that are actual Star Trek that are on screen with our recent reaction to trailers and such, especially for the upcoming Picard Season 3. But with that out of the way, here we go. So, yes, we are now on Instagram, and huge shout out to STARTREKLOGS. Now, we saw this on the Twitter feeds, and we thought it was pretty cool, and to hype ourselves up for Star Trek Picard that will be showing today, we wanted to go over these. I think these were pretty cool. So what we're going to do is go each and over the profiles here, maybe drop a couple of our ECs, but then also bring something to attention that has actually kind of almost hit the feels in a kind of a hard way. But without further ado, here we go. We'll start, of course, with our Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Born in 2305 to Maurice and Yvette Picard in Le Bar, France, Earth. Picard's first starship command was the USS Stargazer NCC-2893. He later commanded two starships named USS Enterprise NCC-1701D and NCC-1701E. During his time on the Enterprise D, he was briefly assimilated by the Borg under the name Locutus. Following his captaincy of the Enterprise E, Picard was promoted to Admiral and given command of the Romulan supernova evacuation mission. He resigned his commission in protest over his perception of Starfleet's handling of that mission and returned to his family vineyard in France. In 2399, Picard died from a brain anomaly, presumed to be Irumodic syndrome, after completing a mission to protect the synth homeworld Coppelius. Doctors Alton Soong and Agnes Girardi transferred his consciousness into a synthetic body created by Soong. Picard is exactly who he was before the transfer, but the almost human synthetic body has removed his Irumodic syndrome, the deadly disease which killed his natural body. Upon his return to Earth, Picard was made Chancellor of Starfleet Academy while continuing to oversee the Chateau Picard vineyard.
Wow.
Personnel file. Admiral Jean-Luc Picard, born.
So I guess it goes in the loop there. We missed the initial there, personal file, Admiral Jean-Luc Picard, but I thought that was pretty interesting. This is why we wanted to go over it. Just listening to these, it felt like we were back watching the show and to hear the personal file. So it was interesting for them to kind of really reiterate what had happened there in the previous, I think the first season of Picard there, where he actually died and they transferred him over. And you know, that wasn't our favorite moment, but still cool nonetheless. And of course, little odes to the Enterprise ships and the Stargazer that he actually commanded. So let's go here next to lore.
Personnel file. Lore. Created by noted cyberneticist Dr. Noonien Soong at the Omicron Theta Colony, a human settlement. Lore was programmed with the first fully functional positronic brain. Soon, his emotional programming became unstable, causing more disturbing elements of his personality to take hold. Because of this, Dr. Soong chose to deactivate and dismantle him. Dr. Soong immediately began building a new android whom he named Data, but did not give Data Lore's unstable emotion programming. Years later, the USS Enterprise NCC-1701D visited the abandoned Omicron Theta colony, discovering Lore. The crew reassembled and reactivated him, his malevolent programming also returning. After threatening the Enterprise, he was exiled into space, but resurfaced answering a homing beacon Dr. Soong used to attract Data. During that encounter, Lore stole a perfected emotion chip meant for his brother, Data. Lore was last seen in 2370 as the leader of a cult of former Borg drones. At that encounter, Data deactivated and disassembled him for the final time. Lore's mind and body have since been taken to Starfleet's Daystrom station with the rest of the late Alton Soong's research.
Now, the only thing I'll add here to Lore is obviously our beloved actors are getting on with age, and I'm surprised they didn't do anything to sort of, I don't want to say enhance, but you can tell he's gotten older and he's supposed to be an android, so whether they're probably put there in terms of it was programmed for his body to age, I don't know, but I thought there was a bunch of deep fake videos out there with data with the scene in Star Trek Picard season 1 that was done way better than how they did. So, but regardless, again, it's awesome that we at least get Ren Spiner back in some capacity. So let's go next here to our beloved Will Riker.
Personnel file: Captain William T. Riker, born in 2335 to Kyle and Betty Riker in Alaska, United States, Earth. Riker received commendations for his distinguished service early in his Starfleet career, leading to his assignment as first officer to Captain Jean-Luc Picard aboard the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D. Declining several promotions to captain, Riker chose to remain on the Enterprise D and later served as first officer on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701E. In 2379, Riker was promoted to captain and assigned to the USS Titan NCC 80102. Riker married Commander Deanna Troi and they had 2 children, a son, Thaddeus, and a daughter, Kestra. He resigned from active Starfleet duty to care for Thaddeus, who suffered from a terminal disease. His family settled on the planet Nepenthe, hoping the world's healing properties would prolong Thaddeus's life. Riker returned to active duty in 2399, leading a fleet of Starfleet vessels to protect Jean-Luc Picard and the synth homeworld Coppelius from Romulan attack. He continues his role in Starfleet, having most recently lent his expertise on the new Titan refit.
Oof. Oof. Love the history there of his family, but also his service, but now giving props to his ship that he served on the Titan, and he'll be on the new Titan refit, so that's quite interesting to hear. All right, let's go to Ms. Deanna.
Personnel file: Commander Deanna Troi, born in 2336 to Ian Andrew and Lwaxana Troi on the planet Beta Z. The child of a human father and Betazoid mother, Troi was born with telepathic and empathic abilities. These attributes proved to be an asset in her role as ship's counselor aboard the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D, USS Enterprise NCC 1701E, and USS Titan NCC 80102. Commander Troi married Captain William T. Riker in 2379. Their children, Thaddeus and Kestra, were born during Troi and Riker's service aboard the Titan. Following Thaddeus's terminal diagnosis of mendaxic neurosclerosis, Troi retired from active duty in Starfleet. She and her family settled on the planet Nepenthe, hopeful that the world's regenerative properties would help heal her son. In 2399, Troi gave shelter to Admiral Jean-Luc Picard and the synth known as Soji as they hid from Romulan assassins. She advised Picard on his relationship with Soji and helped plan his escape strategy. Troi continues to hold a rank within Starfleet should her expertise be needed.
That is awesome. I may or may not had a crush on Deanna. What? Let's go next, Worf.
Personnel file: Captain Worf, born in 2340 on the Klingon homeworld Kronos as a son of Moog. Following the death of his father in a Romulan attack, Worf was raised on Earth by humans Sergei and Helena Rodchenko. He was the first Klingon to join Starfleet, serving as security chief aboard the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D. Following the destruction of the Enterprise D, he was assigned to Space Station Deep Space Nine as Strategic Operations Officer. During his time aboard the Enterprise D, Worf suffered discommendation from the Klingon Empire. His honor was restored when he assisted Klingon Chancellor Gowron in the Klingon Civil War. On Deep Space Nine, Klingon General Martok invited Worf to join his house and later asked him to serve as the Federation ambassador to Kronos. Following his brief tenure as a diplomat, Worf returned to Starfleet, serving aboard the USS Enterprise NCC-1701E, and in other assignments that resulted in his promotion to the rank of captain. His time aboard the Enterprise E was brief, having stepped down after the incident above Krelar Prime. Worf's whereabouts since then are classified.
Love the history. It just, whenever I'm hearing it, it brings me back to the time when we were watching the episodes, especially Worf's history there, not only on Star Trek The Next Generation, but also Deep Space Nine. Right, Dr. Bev Crusher.
Personnel file, Dr. Beverly Crusher. Born in 2324 to Paul and Isabel Howard on lunar colony Copernicus City. A talented medical student at Starfleet Academy, Beverly met and married Jack Crusher in 2348. They had a son, Wesley, later that year. Through Jack, Dr. Crusher met Captain Jean-Luc Picard, her husband's commanding officer aboard the USS Stargazer NCC-2893. The three of them became close friends. Following Jack's death aboard the Stargazer, Crusher, recently promoted to commander, joined Picard as chief medical officer aboard the USS Enterprise NCC-1701D. She took a one-year sabbatical from the Enterprise D to serve as the head of Starfleet Medical, after which she resumed her duties on the ship. Dr. Crusher occasionally commanded the Enterprise D, including during the incident with the Borg cult led by the android Lore. Following the destruction of the Enterprise D, Crusher continued as Chief Medical Officer on the USS Enterprise NCC-1701E. She later resigned from Starfleet, undertaking private medical missions throughout the Alpha and Beta quadrants on her personal ship, the SS Ilios. Dr. Crusher's current whereabouts are unknown.
Oof. That, of course, ties into what we've been seeing in the trailers there. Ooh, super excited. I may have had a crush on her, just saying. Right, Geordi.
Personnel file, Commodore Geordi LaForge. Born in 2335 to Edward and Sylva LaForge in Mogadishu, Somalia, African Confederation, Earth. Born blind, LaForge used a visual instrument and sensory organ replacement, or visor, to see before receiving more advanced ocular implants. After meeting Captain Jean-Luc Picard while piloting a shuttle to an inspection, LaForge was initially assigned to the USS Enterprise NCC-1701D as the ship's helmsman. An expert in starship propulsion, he was soon promoted to lieutenant commander and served as chief engineer. During his time aboard the Enterprise D, LaForge became close friends with android officer Lieutenant Commander Data. Following the destruction of the Enterprise D at Viridian 3, LaForge again served as chief engineer aboard the Sovereign-class USS Enterprise NCC-1701E. Later, LaForge received the rank of Commodore and was given a series of special assignments by Starfleet Command. His daughters, Sydney and Alondra LaForge, also currently serve in Starfleet.
Ooh, both of his daughters. That is awesome. Now, little tidbit here, captains. When I was young, and we were introduced to Geordi, or I was introduced to Geordi, I would actually copy his visor. And it was something my mom had. It was something that held her hair together, but it literally looked like Geordi's visor. Every single time that an episode would come out, I would wear it. And I remember that, and my mom saw me with Mommy Triz, and she got mad at me. She's like, take that out, give that to me. So I'll always have fond memories of Geordi's visor there. Right, so we'll go here to Raffi.
Personnel file, Commander Rafaela Musiker. Note, Commander Musiker's personal details are classified. A Starfleet intelligence specialist in the Romulan Empire, Musiker served as first officer to Admiral Jean-Luc Picard aboard the flagship of Starfleet's Romulan Supernova evacuation mission. Following the synth attack on Mars, Starfleet suspended that mission, causing Admiral Picard to resign in protest. Subsequently, Musiker was also dismissed from Starfleet. Musiker agreed to help Picard on an unauthorized mission to protect Lieutenant Commander Data's presumed daughter, a synth named Soji. Following the success of that mission, Picard advocated for Musiker's reinstatement in Starfleet. She was temporarily assigned as operations officer aboard the USS Excelsior NCC 42037. She was also involved in Picard's apparent final encounter with the entity known as Q. For years, Musiker has worked to overcome several addictions that plagued her life and Starfleet career, with the hope that she might reconnect with her son Gabe and his family. Musiker's current Starfleet status is classified. Rumors suggest she has left Starfleet entirely. Her present whereabouts are unknown.
There you go. I've never been able to connect with Ralphie, but hopefully they give her a little bit more sort of character growth and we can connect with her. But oof, 7 of 9, let's go.
Personnel file, Commander 7 of 9. Born Annika Hansen in 2344 to Magnus and Aaron Hansen at Tindara Colony, Ondau Sector. The Hansen family was assimilated by the Borg in 2350, with Annika receiving the designation 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01. In 2374, she represented the Borg in its communications with Captain Catherine Janeway of the USS Voyager NCC 74656. 7 made a failed attempt to assimilate Voyager's personnel. Instead, she was cut off from the Borg Collective and made an unofficial member of Voyager's crew. Following Voyager's return to Earth, 7 unsuccessfully applied to Starfleet. Subsequently, she became a Fenris Ranger, assisting Admiral Jean-Luc Picard on an unofficial mission to protect the synth homeworld Capelius. She joined him again during his apparent final encounter with the entity Q. With help from Admirals Picard and Janeway, 7 received a Starfleet commission. She currently serves as First Officer on the USS Titan NCC 80102A under the command of Captain Liam Shaw.
Nice. Love that. So we've gone through all the character profiles now. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we are a captain that covers Star Trek Online content, and 7 of 9, Geordi, Worf, and now Dr. Beverly Crusher has actually done voiceover work with recent voiceover from actually Dr. Beverly Crusher herself, Gates McFadden, in Star Trek Online. So this is why we've decided to kind of also cover this, because again, our love doesn't just extend to Star Trek Online, but also Star Trek, especially TNG. Captains, I'll be honest, I am a TNG baby through and through. And yes, I did have a crush on 7. Now, we'll go over the ships here, leaving the Enterprise for last. So we'll go over to the SS La Serena first.
Starship Profile, SS La Serena. La Serena is a non-Starfleet vessel, registry number NAR 93131. A Kaplan F-17 speed freighter, La Serena was purchased by former Starfleet officer Cristobal Rios following his medical discharge from service. Rios utilized the vessel's emergency holograms to man the ship's stations. Each hologram was based on Rios' appearance but had different personalities complementing their onboard functions. Retired Admiral Jean-Luc Picard hired Rios and La Serena for an unauthorized mission in search of Lieutenant Commander Data's daughter. Picard noted that Rios had maintained the ship to Starfleet standards. After successfully completing Picard's mission, Rios returned to Starfleet as captain of the USS Stargazer NCC 82893. He gave La Serena to Fenris Ranger 7 of 9, replacing her ship that was destroyed during Picard's mission. Following 7 of 9's admission to Starfleet and assignment to the USS Titan NCC 80102A, Rafaela Musiker took command of La Serena. However, current ship status and whereabouts are unknown.
Now, when I first saw the ship and knew that it was sort of going to be the hero, quote-unquote hero ship, I didn't know what to think really, because it just felt so non-Star Trek to me. Now, I did have an opportunity to own this ship in Star Trek Online, but I didn't because for me, the size was way too small and the firing of the beams or whatever just was bigger than the ship. Now, I'm still trying to attach myself to the ship, but because when it comes to Star Trek, my first love is ships, and this being the hero ship, it had some cool moments, I'm not gonna lie, but it felt like it was something non-Star Trek to me. But I know there are other captains out there that do love the La Serena. Now we're gonna go to the hero ship of Star Trek Picard Season 3, the USS Titan. And before we go on, captains, we know that Bill Krause, aka Admiral Buck, shout out to you, Cap, Admiral, I should say. Captains, we actually had Bill here on the bridge last year for an interview, and he had mentioned, we've been kind of in communication here since then, back and forth, especially when his other ship was actually shown, and we did a video on that as well. And he had mentioned after Picard Season 3, he would love to come back and talk more about the ships that he's prepared. So look out for that. Definitely, I'll be holding him to that, to come back here on the bridge so that we can talk about his lovely designs that has gotten into Star Trek canon. So here we go.
Starship Profile USS Titan. There have been 3 Starfleet vessels to bear the name Titan. NCC 1777, Shangri-La class. Launched in 2290 under the command of Captain Savick. Known for its multiple encounters with the Klingon Empire, including the Exoport takeover and Horizon colony rescue. The Titan became Starfleet's flagship under the recommendation of Captain Sulu of the Excelsior. The Titan was instrumental in maintaining frontier stability before the Khitomer Accords and subsequent launch of the Enterprise B. NCC 80102, Luna class. Tactical heavy cruiser was designed to counter the various contemporary threats from Romulans to Borg, launched in 2379. Commanded by Captain William T. Riker, birthplace of Captain Riker and Commander Deanna Troy's children, Thaddeus and Kestra Riker Troy. In 2380, Riker led the Titan on a series of successful and dangerous tactical missions, stabilizing Federation space along the borders of the Beta Quadrant. After suffering extensive damage, it was pulled from service in 2398. Because of Captains Savick and Riker, the Titan's legacy was continued with a brand new starship, one that would retain its registry but now with the A designation, an honor only given to a select few starships. NCC 80102A, Constitution 3 class, referred to in Starfleet slang as Neo-Constitution class. This new Titan is primarily an exploratory vessel, honoring the retro design of the Constitution Class II. Launched in 2402 under the command of Captain Liam Shaw, work began on a refit using the original Titan space frame. However, with the development of cutting-edge propulsion technology, the Titan's design changed mid-construction and a new ship took form. As per tradition, Starfleet engineers affectionately designated it as a refit, having kept much of the original Titan's internal components. The Constitution 3 was designed to cater to a close support envelope at sublight speeds, namely in and around densely populated solar systems, as witnessed by its overpowered impulse engines. To date, the new Titan has the largest sublight power-to-geometry ratio in the fleet.
Oof. Okay, I love the info on this ship, and I love how they also gave love to the original design, the Shangri-La. Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, this was, of course, based on, well, the Titan A was based on the original Titan, the Shangri-La, I believe. It make it sound like it's the Titan, the Luna class, using its original parts. But now, one of the ships that I'm super excited to come for Star Trek Online definitely is the USS Titan, and better believe it, captains, we are getting the ship as soon as it comes out, as best as we can, and we're going to be having some fun pew-pews, and of course we are going to honor Admiral Buck and name it after him somehow, so that we can give ode to this beautiful ship that's going to be the flag hero ship, starship here in Star Trek Picard Season 3. Now, I left the USS Enterprise profile for last, and again, we'll go into it, and then we'll drop my thoughts after it.
Starship Profile, USS Enterprise. There have been 8 Starfleet vessels to bear the name Enterprise. NX-01, NX class. Launched in 2151. Commanded by Jonathan Archer, first Warp 5 capable vessel. NCC-1701, Constitution class. Launched in 2245. Commanded by Captains Robert April, Christopher Pike, and James T. Kirk. Received extensive refit in the 2270s. Lost in battle at Genesis Planet. NCC-1701A, refit Constitution class. Launched in 2286. Commanded by Captain James T. Kirk. Hosted Klingon Chancellor Gorkon for initial peace talks before being decommissioned. NCC-1701B, Excelsior class. Launched in 2293. Commanded by Captain John Harriman. Rescued LLaP refugees from the Nexus. NCC-1701C, Ambassador class. Launch date classified. Commanded by Captain Rachel Garrett. Lost, saving a Klingon outpost from Romulan attack. NCC-1701D, Galaxy class. Launched in 2362. Commanded by Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Completed numerous historic missions. Lost at Veridian 3. NCC-1701E, Sovereign class. Launched in 2373. Commanded by Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Stopped Borg from preventing first contact with the Vulcans. Final mission classified. NCC-1701F, Odyssey class. Launched in 2386. Commanded by several captains in the past 15 years. Currently scheduled for decommissioning after critical systems were compromised during the Mon Fet Gambit, the rescue efforts for the Rylian refugees on Fenton 4. The Enterprise F's final flight will be on display during this year's Frontier Day.
Okay, I love the history of the Enterprise that they went through here. But this is the reason why we were making this video as well, along with trying to hype ourselves up for Star Trek Picard Season 3. As a Star Trek Online captain, we were super happy to know that the Enterprise F was going to be canonized. And of course, we've also made reaction videos to that. And to kind of hear it be decommissioned right away, it kind of hurts a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Now, I hope we see her in action. I think we are going to see her in action, but it seems like we're also going to see her being decommissioned there at the end of Star Trek Picard Season 3. Now, a couple thoughts on this, and I've seen some of these comments made as well, that it's just opening up a way to a new Enterprise. Okay, so the Enterprise G would be next in line. Now, in Star Trek Online, how the lore goes, and the connection is, there is an Odyssey class ship in Star Trek Online called the Yorktown, which is a refit of the Odyssey. So I know that the relationship between Star Trek Online and Star Trek is just very new, and I'm not sure if Star Trek Online is going to redact some things to kind of line up with now on-screen canon. But regardless, to have it canonized is awesome. And I cannot wait to get this ship skin in-game so that we can kind of pay tribute to it, especially for it being decommissioned right away. Well, not right away. It seems like it's served for 15 years. So having said that, again, captains, we are super excited for Star Trek Picard Season 3. We will be doing our reviews, but we're going to be changing the format of how we do them. And they're going to be formatted in the way that we're going to talk about the ships, characters, and then the story, but mostly kind of concentrate on my first love, which is the ships. So that is how our review is going to go. And again, we just do this because it's fun. We always have fun covering Star Trek, and it's always nice to meet fellow captains who also have like mind and sometimes think the same way that we do. And really, that's kind of the whole point of us doing all this stuff here on the bridge, so that we can share our love for Star Trek and find like-minded captains. So again, this was something that we thought we would do to hype ourselves up here on the bridge. We're super happy that a lot of the actors here from TNG have done work on Star Trek Online, and we are hoping that we can get the rest. The rest being, of course, Deanna Troi, Will Riker, Lore, and of course, the Admiral, Captain Picard, Admiral or my Captain, Jean-Luc Picard, because it would just be such a great thing to have him there, kind of sort of embedded in the game that, of course, we cover and love so much. So, Captains, there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the description below of what you thought of the little nuggets of information we received for this. And again, huge shout out to Star Trek StarLogs here for doing this. This is really awesome. If I knew how to do something like this, I would love to. And I do love the L cards here for each characters, and I'm loving how they also did that for the ships themselves. So we'll link this in the description below, Captain, so you can check it out on your own. But with that said, like the video, and of course, subscribe here to the User Bridge, and I will say this before heading off. Yes, let's go! Excited, super excited for Star Trek Picard Season 3. Captains, we will leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.